All right, good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well wherever you're joining us from. Everything is good, you're safe, and things are fine. But we're excited that you joined us this morning. It's a pleasant morning here in Richardson, Texas. I have my colleague Sivya Leventhal, who's the program manager for the Business Analytics program, with me. And the next 1 hour, the agenda is very simple. We'll spend the first 15-20 minutes on some information about the Business Analytics Flex program. And then right after that, we'll jump into questions. For questions, the most effective technique that we found is that if you put your questions in the chat, that way we can read those questions, we can answer them. This session is being recorded, so anybody who joins this can watch it later as well, because we put a recording of this on our YouTube channel of the Naveen Jindal School of Management. So with that, my name is Gaurav Shekhar. I'm the program director for the Graduate Business Analytics Flex and Online program. Flex is our main state-funded program here on campus. It's also our largest program in the School of Management, and we, in fact, are the largest business analytics program in the United States. So something we're very proud of. Got a great set of students out here coming from all sorts of backgrounds. But before you really jump into why MSBA at UT Dallas, the question you should really ask yourself, or we should help you understand, is why a degree like business analytics at all? And a lot of you might have different understanding of what really business analytics is. But to really answer this question well, I will take you back a few decades, maybe to the 70s. Now, if I ask you, what is the one reason why softwares or applications are created? That one reason is to manage data. So data always has been the underlying reason why software applications came into existence, because somebody wanted to manage that data. Now, the 70s was more about, okay, how do we store that data? What are the techniques, databases, all that came along in the 70s. 80s was more about fine tuning what they found in the 70s and went on. But after a couple of decades, they all realized that there is lots of data out there, what to do with that. And that's where some of the market leaders started using data for decision-making purposes, because they had historical trends, they had to look at patterns, and they had solid data to decide either way. Slowly and slowly, people were giving away, instead of just going by their hunch or their gut feeling, they were looking at very data-focused decisions. Now, of course, when the leaders do that, everybody else tries to follow the trend, and that's what exactly happened in the late 90s, early 2000s, and there was a big demand for people who could understand the language of data. Now, anytime an industry or a company has a demand for a new skill, the best thing to do is bring in trainers and they will train their employees. But the rate at which this need was growing and the rate at which people were able to get trained was very different. So the demand versus supply wasn't very aligned with one another. And whenever that happens, industry always turns to one person, the academia. So academia, we started programs in different parts of the world. In fact, the first business analytics program anywhere in the United States came in the year 2007 only. So it's not a very old degree program per se, or an old major. But since 2007, all the top institutions started adding programs, and that's how in 2014, the Naveen Jindal School of Management at UT Dallas launched its business analytics program. But the key reason why we have this program is because we wanted to teach our students, or we wanted to add more professionals to the industry that know this language of data, that know how to model it, that know how to procure it, that know how to present it, that know how to engineer this data. And these are not things that you can just learn, okay, let's watch a couple hours worth of videos and we'll be good with it. There's a lot of practical components related to it. There's a lot of the ability to look at a problem statement and then break it down, all those kind of things that an academic institution can provide very well. Now, companies need these professionals. They don't have many. The other thing is the need for analytics is in every industry. Every industry That's the word, every industry, because you think of any place, even oil and natural gas or real estate, they have a lot of data that they are collecting through their software, through their applications, through their portals, and they use that data to make decisions. For example, what should be uh, the, the annual growth rate if you have a credit card company for your credit card products, or uh, how should you price your house if you're ready to sell, or if you're a company that has lots of houses and that provides those services, how do you price it? So there's a lot of decision making using the actual data that's present there and the need for that. And the best thing for you who's planning to get into a business analytics degree program is that there is a lot of dearth of these qualified professionals. Believe it or not, a lot of companies, they might buy a software or two and they feel that they're doing analytics, and which is not the truth. A lot of times our students go and they set up these practices because they are, even though they might just be an intern, they're the most qualified person when it comes to analytics in that company. And that happens a lot. What are our guiding themes? We're very flexible. So this program can be finished from anywhere from 9 months to 72 months. Now, nobody takes 72 months, which is 6 years. Most of the students take 1.5 to 2 years, but it's up to you how you want to pace it, what courses you want to take, how you want to mix your core classes, electives, and all that kind of stuff. How do you want to take a morning class or evening class? A lot of flexibilities out there. Engagement is another key aspect of the program, because if there is no engagement, then really, you're not learning to the best of your abilities. You work on group projects within the class, and then you work on uh, maybe competitions, or you participate in student organizations outside of the class as well. We're very focused on outcomes. So which means anytime we have an event, we make sure that we see, okay, what was the benefit that it brought, so that we can tweak it and make it better the next time for you. Or are there any supplemental things that you need in terms of learning how to be a better analytics practitioner? So whether it is competitions, whether it is additional learning portals like we use LinkedIn Learning or Data Camp, etc., or do we need workshops? All those kind of things that help you train yourself is what we do with this. The MSBA Flex program has 10 tracks right now. And these tracks, as you can see on the screen, anywhere from accounting, cybersecurity, data engineering, data science, decision operations, financial, healthcare, marketing, social media, enterprise systems. It's a STEM designated program. Half of the credits that you take, which is half of the courses, are core classes, and then the remaining half is electives. And you can pick electives from any of the tracks. You don't have to declare a track. You can just pick all your courses from the same track, all your electives, or you might just want to take, one from multiple tracks. It's up to you how you want to do that. As I mentioned, we are the largest in the country. Our average starting salaries are in the range of $100,000, and this is for people, who have maybe 0 to 3 years of experience. People who come in with more experience definitely end up getting higher packages. We have a lot of partnerships with companies. And when I say partnerships, these are people that are aggressively working with us at the school. They have projects, they are competition judges, they are mentors, they are hiring for internships, they're hiring for full-time jobs, they're doing a lot of stuff with us. Now, UT Dallas ranks #1 in the state of Texas when it comes to return on investment. And our program is one of the top programs when it comes to return on investment. So just to give you an idea, let's say you take a loan to pay off for the program. Generally, the institutions will give you anywhere between 10 to 15 years to pay it off. Our students generally pay it off in 3 years, about 3.5 years, which says that they are making enough money that is helping them pay it, and they're able to take care of their families at the same time. They're living a comfortable life. It's not like that they're hand to mouth when it comes to their own survival. Plus, they're able to comfortably pay as well. lots of internships that our students pursue. I mean, this past summer itself, in one semester, we had 319 students that pursued an internship. The average pay that we've been seeing has just been going up. And within about a year, it moved from somewhere around $23 to about $30 now an hour. Now, the ratio between an intern's pay and a full-time pay is about 1:2. So if an intern is earning $1, and this is an average number, okay? If an intern is earning $1, the same person for a full-time role will be earning $2. So $30 literally translates to somebody earning about 120K once they graduate. Now we do have three formats in the business analytics program. One is the Flex that we are talking about right now. It has 10 tracks. Most of the classes are face-to-face. A few of them are online. It's self-paced and it's state-funded, which means as the number of credits increase in a semester, your per credit hour rate goes down. We also have two self-funded programs called the Cohort and then the Online, which have two of the 10 tracks. So Cohort has data science and accounting analytics, whereas the online program has data science and data engineering. Again, both of them are self-paced. Cohort has face-to-face classes and a few online, whereas the online program is 100% online. So if you are a working professional who's looking for a 100% online program, we have that as well. GRE GMAT waivers are available. It's not a blanket waiver that we give out, but once you apply, you'll have to send us an email requesting a waiver. And we look at your undergraduate transcript and see if you really have taken quantitative courses and how you have performed in those so that we can make a decision. Scholarships are also available, but here's the thing. If you're looking for a scholarship, a GRE or GMAT score is required. What do we need for the application? We need your application, and the link that you see on the screen is where you can find the application portal. GRE GMAT waivers, once you submit your application, you can send an email to jsomgradvising@utdallas.edu requesting, just send a one-line email saying that you have submitted your application, here's the application number, and you'd like to request a waiver. They take about a week or 10 days to get back to you whether you got the waiver or not. If you get it, well and good. If you didn't get it, they will let you write the GRE or GMAT. Transcripts are needed, but you can send your unofficial ones for the decision purposes. We don't need the official ones right away. Resume, 3 letters of recommendation, and one of the letters of recommendation should come from a working professional. Now, this person could have worked with you, or if let's say you don't have any work experience, that means you never had any work colleagues. That's fine. The person that you ask for should be a working professional. Not three, but a personal objective statement, which outlines why you want to pursue this degree, how does this factor in your future plans, etc. We often get asked if there's an application fee waiver. Being a state institution, we cannot provide it. Only when you're a current student or an alum is when you qualify for an application fee waiver. So let's say once you come into the program and there is something else you want to apply for, we will never ask you to pay the application fee because you would be an alum or a current student. Scholarship deadlines for spring 23 is October 1st. If somebody on this group is wanting to pursue a fall 23 application, for you, the deadline would be May 1st, but spring 23 is our next one coming up. There is a separate application. Once you apply to the program, you get accepted, you send this application. We will need your official GRE or GMAT scores by October 1st. They should reach UT Dallas by October 1st. TAships, they are available to students only in the second semester and onwards, because we need you to complete at least one semester at UT Dallas and get a UTD GPA. That's important. Just a sneak peek into the kind of internships our students have been doing, and this particular chart helps us understand the spread in terms of the industries in which our students go. So you can see that the internet and software piece is just about a quarter. We have tons of industries where our students go. Map from the COVID era, but despite that fact, We had students working in most of the states. We are seeing that slowly that students are going back for in-person internships, and our students technically work from all 50 states. The averages, as I said, have been around 23 to 26, but you know, you can still see the max is really huge. Like we've been seeing about $100+ an hour kind of an internship for the last 2 summers very easily. Okay, if you have a LinkedIn account, I would strongly recommend that you go and read these stories. These are unmoderated accounts of their internships, what they're doing at the school, etc. And just look for hashtag UTDMSBA, and that'll help you get to the point where students have written thousands of accounts of them working for different companies, competitions, their student life. I mean, if you want to work for a company and you want to see if an MSBA student really worked there, this is one way of looking for it. And you'll get an account of what they've been doing there, what it takes to be there. I mean, maybe you want to work there, and this is a good way for you to know. And plus, somebody is there, you can connect with them and maybe find out more things. That's a way to connect with people. We have 350+ student organizations at UT Dallas. 70 of them are in the School of Management. And these are some of them where our students are heavily engaged. We find this as a very important piece in the puzzle when it comes to student development, because, as a student, when you participate in these student organizations, there's a lot of stuff you're doing yourself. And that helps in augmenting your growth and you learning how to, be a better practitioner. So these are great experiences through which you can develop your leadership skills, plus also learn something from these organizations. Now, this is where it gets better, because we want you to get a better return for the tuition that you're paying. And that's where we have these bonus certificate programs. These certificate programs, treat them as micro degrees. They have been carved out of the degree program. And they all have like 3 or 4 courses, mostly 4 courses. You complete those 4 courses, and then if you have an average GPA of 3.0 in those 4 courses, you get the certificate. The good thing is when you sit in a class that for which credit can be applied to both, uh, a degree program as well as a certificate program, you get credit for both. You don't have to pay tuition twice. You're getting credit towards both the programs. So let's say you were in the applied machine learning certificate program, and of course the MSBA program, and you're taking the advanced statistics class. That advanced statistics is a class that features on both the programs. Guess what? Just by taking that class once, by paying tuition once, you're getting credit towards both programs. A lot of times our students get these certificates before they get their degree, and then they use these certificates for future purposes like full-time jobs. Like they will go and say that, hey, I'm pursuing this whole degree, but here is my micro degree here in machine learning, and I've already completed that. The only thing is you'll have to be enrolled in these programs, so you'll have to apply. Since you're a current student, it's straightforward. You apply and mostly you're in the program. Guess what? You don't pay the application fee this time because now you are a current student when you're applying for these bonus certificate programs. Here are our contact details, our email addresses, and our direct phone lines. And before I move on to the Q&A, I would just like to show you our catalog for a second. So our core courses. One of the things about these core courses is that all our business analytics students have a very strong foundation when it comes to these courses after they've taken the courses. Companies would ask you, okay, what happened? That's where advanced statistics comes into place. What will happen? Predictive analytics will teach you that. What do you recommend? Prescriptive will come in. Are my models making me money? Applied econometrics and time series. How do I manage my data? How do I manage my, oops. How do I manage my data? How do I manage how do I create models? All these things are covered within these core classes. Every student can very well become an independent contributor just by spending good amount of time in these courses. But on top of it, your electives, look at all this. All the tracks have like 5 to 8 courses, and you can pick and choose whatever you want to. Now, I was just talking about the applied machine learning certificate. This is what it does. You take the 3 courses, which are required courses, and then choose one between NLP or deep learning, get an average 3.0, and you get this certificate. Okay, I think we can take some questions now. So let's see. Okay, is there a minimum GRE score? Would GRE score of 300 be considered for admission? Do you have to retake? So a couple things. We don't have a minimum GRE score. The reason why we do that is because we look at your application holistically. Again, our averages are about 310 to 312, and people who get scholarships, their average GRE score is higher than 312. But, let's say you have a 300 and there are other great things about your profile. We will just not stop at the GRE score and reject you. We will go through the entire application packet and then make a decision whether you qualify for an admission or not. And we have had students in the past, they had great profiles, but the GRE score was low. That didn't mean that they were not good candidates. It's just that one thing in their whole application was not very outstanding, but the rest of the pieces in their application package helped them. Yeah, is there any GRE cutoff for scholarship? There isn't. It all depends on the pool. As I said, our average GRE has been about 310, 312, and our average GRE scores for scholarships, when we look at the pool of people that got the scholarship, is always much higher than 310, 312. So that just gives you a ballpark idea. Again, every pool is different. We are seeing that, the average scores have been going up, but every pool is very different. Prasanna, my GPA is below 3.5, but I have a GRE score of 312. Will my application be considered? Well, Prasanna, we can definitely have a look at your application. Again, as I said, it is reviewed holistically, and we look at everything on your application before we make a decision. Remember, no one thing which is really good can give you a definite yes when it comes to an admit, and there is nothing which may be not very good will pull down your application. That's where holistic reviews come into place. See, when we look at applications, the question that we ask ourselves is, if we put this person in the program, will this person be successful? If you're somebody who'll scrape through, scraping is not what we need. We need people to be successful. We don't want to set you up for failure. And that's what we look at when we look at applications. Neelish, work excels, and even you should go to also. Yeah, that's a good recommendation. You can always explain things about your GPA if you have a low GPA on your scholarship essay. That's what the essay is about. I mean, to be honest, here is my recommendation. A lot of times I know we tend to take advice from others, or find out from samples how it is written. An essay is a very simple document. Things you cannot explain in other parts of your application, use the essay to explain it. Secondly, tell your committee why you want to pursue this degree and how does this fit in your future. If you can explain those 2 or 3 things, that's all we need. We don't need any flowery language. We don't need anything which is not congruent to what you would be doing. We just need simple, plain facts out there from you. Rohit, why is the curriculum heavily focused on R programming when a lot of companies involved in analytics use Python for the same? Good question. Number one, Python, yes, it's an easy language. A lot of companies use it for a lot of purposes. But at the same time, R is used heavily as well. When you really talk about real statistics, when you talk about analytics, people are using R. A lot of times, uh, and the one of the reasons why R is less preferred sometimes over, Python, is because it just takes more effort to learn R. I'll be honest about that. But that doesn't mean that people are not using R, and R is being used heavily. However, the curriculum is not heavily focused on R. Yes, we have a foundational course on business analytics with R, but at the same time, this semester only, we introduced another parallel course which uses Python for modeling. And that's an alternate course when it comes to BA with R. Similarly, our entire data science track, most of the courses, so programming for data science uses Python. Applied machine learning uses Python. NLP, deep learning, uses Python. We're teaching applied cybersecurity and risk management uses Python. So there are a lot of Python related courses as well. But here is my 2 cents about R versus Python. If you really want to thrive as an analytics professional, you need to know both of them, because depending on what exactly you're trying to do, you would be using R or Python. One of the things with Python is, a lot of it, people, your packages for every possible thing that is out there. Now, if your role is very applied in nature, you might not need to go into the nitty gritties of, what those packages are. But if tomorrow you are working on creating newer models and you want to create new algorithms and stuff and all that kind of things, maybe R or a mix of, I would say, if you know R and Python moderately also, you're good. So that's why we want to teach our students both of them, because we don't know where they'll end up working. And when they go out in the industry, we don't want them to feel that, oh, we don't know what it is. The other portion is, as an academic institution, we want to teach you things that, yes, are difficult to learn, that you will not find enough guidance outside. At least with our courses, our instructors are able to help you understand and teach you things like R, or for that matter, some of the core courses that we have. I'll be very honest. If given an option, the first reaction to some of the courses would be, well, this is too difficult and I don't want to take this. But that's where the flavor comes from an academic institution, that we teach you stuff that nobody else is trying to do. If you look at people who grow into analytics roles while working within an organization, their growth is very narrow and focused to only the kind of stuff that organization is doing. But when you come to a university like us, you learn a plethora of things around the same type of concept. So you're not just learning one thing that benefits one particular team or organization, but you're learning potentially 10 different things, 10 different ways to look at analytics. And that's how you broaden your learning as well. So it doesn't matter which organization you end up working with, you have a strong foundation and a strong knowledge around more areas than what that organization is already working on. Can you explain the key differences between Flex and Cohort? So the tracks, that's the number one thing. You have more electives in the Flex program that's out there. From a tuition perspective, the tuition is fixed for Cohort, but when it comes to Flex program, it's like this. If you can take a max of 18 credits in a semester. Okay, we don't recommend that, but let's say if you want to take that. After 12 credits, no tuition is assessed. So technically, credit number 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 is free elective, free from tuition. What else is there? As I said, as you take more credits, the per credit hour rate goes down in the Flex program. You become a TA. There are opportunities in the cohort program as well, but in the Flex program, when you become a TA, there is in-state tuition that you pay, and also the health insurance and all is paid. We have similar things in the cohort program as well, but essentially, when you look at the differences, the number one difference that stands out is the number of tracks that you have to pursue. Sunil, if you're talking about the start of the program for spring, it is the second week of Jan. Jan 17th is when it starts. For fall, we just started the program this past week. So generally, the fall semester begins in the third week of August, and in the spring, it starts in the second week of Jan. Aswa, I'm an international student interested in MSB in spring 22. Need to know what is the total cost of the program? Significantly different from what is financial portal. Good. You know what, Aswa, there is a webinar that we did on financing and funding your degree program that's available on our YouTube channel. I would strongly recommend that you watch that. But just to give you an idea, the tuition in the Flex program depends a lot on things like what's your residency, do you have scholarship, TA-ship, etc. So let's say you get a scholarship in the program. For 2 long semesters, you would be paying in-state tuition rate. And the difference between in-state and out-of-state is about 2 times. So, or let's say you become a TA in a semester. When you become a TA, you would be the tuition that you pay, even if you're an out-of-state student, you will be eligible for in-state tuition rates. Plus, you get the health insurance. Plus, you get $1,000 after taxes. So, keeping all that in mind, the range really for tuition in the Flex program is anywhere between $40,000 to $65,000. There are students who come in with the scholarships. There are some students who don't come in with a scholarship, but from the second semester onwards, they have some support. Like, imagine somebody not coming in with a scholarship, but in the second semester gets a TA-ship, and then in the next academic year, which is their third and fourth semester, they get a scholarship. So 75% of their program was supported by some kind of support. Again, that webinar, and let me see if we can put the link there for you.
I already put the link.
Okay, thank you.
As well as to the academic calendar website.
Excellent, thank you so much. So yeah, please look into the chat for that link, but that's a good webinar. It's about an hour long, and we covered so many different profiles of students, people who come with support and people who do not. How do they end up paying? So that should be a good watch for you. So Arya, has the scholarship started? It is supposed to start at the end of August, but let me double check that for you right away. I don't think so they have started. But yeah, keep an eye on our scholarship portal. We generally open it towards the end of the semester. And let me see what's available out here. Yes, we don't have spring applications yet. Jairam, I just answered the same question. Banu, does scholarship decision decide?
Wait, go back up to how many core?
Oh, yes.
You feel like you answered that? Sorry.
How many core? Yes. So 6 core courses, and then you have 6 electives, and your internship is also required in this program, and that's part of your electives only. You can take up to 3 credits. Does this scholarship decision decide? Okay, so this question, is GRE the only factor? No, it is not. But why we use GRE or GMAT is because, say, all of you come from different universities. And in every university, the scale is different. Okay, in some universities, let's say you get a 7 out of 10 GPA or a 3.5. A 3.5 might be easy. Whereas there are some universities that even if you make a 3 GPA, it's very difficult to make that 3. So what we do is we use a standardized test like GRE or GMAT, where we use a common scale for everybody, irrespective of where you come from. Now that helps us in filtering our potential scholarship recipients, but then we start looking at everything in your profile. We start looking at your your essays, your work experience, your resume, anything else you have done. You come with no experience, but you have done 100 million things in your undergrad institution. Absolutely. That essay is very important. That essay, and here is my tip. Don't say that, I need this scholarship because I need to support myself financially. 100% of the applicants who want scholarship want to support themselves financially. So what's the difference with your with your essay? Write something that tells us that, okay, how will this scholarship help you academically? Are there any, uh, you know, academic projects that you want to get on? Or just don't talk about the financial need. That's what I'm trying to say, because financial need that's a common denominator. And you are talking about the obvious out there. How many semesters are there for spring 2023? I'm sorry, I didn't get that question. Very well. If you want to explain it down in the chat, please do that. What's the minimum time that the program can be completed? 9 months. You can do it. If you want to do that, people have done it. Not a whole lot, and we don't recommend, because taking 18 credits in a semester is a lot of work. But I would say if you're targeting 1.5 years, most of our students either take 3 long semesters or 4 long semesters, which is 17 to 22 months to finish this program. That, I think, is a comfortable timeline because it gives you some breathing space. Plus, there's a lot of stuff you will do outside of the classes as well. You need time for that. If you're just studying and you want to just quickly finish it up in 9 months, well, it can be done, but then you're losing out on a lot of opportunities. At least what I would recommend is at least look for that 1.5 year timeline. So let's say you come in spring of 23, you graduate next spring. So that gives you spring 23, fall 23, and spring 24. At least have that timeline. Mostly spring 23 people, what they will do is, they'll be eligible for internships in the next spring. So they will probably pursue an internship for their whole year and graduate by fall of 24. But I think when you said realistically, or if the way I look at it, what is a good amount of time that you're not excruciating yourself and still doing well? 3 long semesters, 3 to 4 long semesters, good. You're studying for GRE, your scores should reach us by October 1st. And please know that it takes about 2 to 3 weeks sometimes for ETS to send those scores. So factor all of that time in. Technically, you should be writing your GRE in the next 10 days to about 2 weeks max if you want the scores to reach us in time. Have a GMAT of 610, GPA of 3.92 plus. Would I be eligible? Well, it's a good application. Send it in. Again, if you're talking about an admit, do see a few good things there. Talking about scholarship, we don't know how the pool turns out, but definitely apply. Rohit, good question. That are we completely in a classroom or hybrid? We have a couple courses that are hybrid, but what we have seen is there's a lot of merit in just being in one type of an environment, whether it is completely in class or it is completely online. But we do have a few classes that are hybrid as well. Not a whole lot of sections. And again, we are trying something new out when it comes to hybrid. So we'll know at the end of the semester how did that go. But maybe just tweaking this a little bit and maybe saying if everything is online or in class, well, we have a mix of both. What does self-paced actually mean? I am so glad that you asked that question because I use that word as if it's so clear. Self-paced means, let's say you and I get into the program. I want to take 3 courses, but you are somebody who wants to take more courses. Okay, by all means, all power to you. You take more courses. What happens is the pace at which I finish my degree program and the pace at which you finish your degree program will be different. Maybe the first semester you said, you know what, I want to take 4 courses. The next semester you're like, I want to scale back to 3. Or the next semester after that you have an internship and you're like, I'm just going to work on my internship, maybe just take 1 course. So you see how you're not mandated that you must complete X number of courses or you must take these courses in a certain order. It's not there, and that's what self-paced means really. The only thing that we tell you is if there is, and how do I put it? Let's say if you're an international student, you're required to take 9 credits at least in a semester. However, there is relaxations when you're doing an internship. We call it the reduced course load. And of course, when we get to that point, we can always talk about that. But you decide how quick or slow you want your program to be. It's up to you. Another thing is, as I talked about flexibility, we have courses which have classes in the daytime, in the evening time, in the morning time. You can choose what you want. It's up to you. Naveen, okay, with this question we answered. The portal will open towards the end of this month. So next week, check it out somewhere in the middle of next week.
Yeah, Gaurav. Thanks for answering. I got it.
Ambu, thank you. Ambu, I have 5 years of work experience in one of the top banks in India. What would be a suggestion? Look forward to. Oh, if you worked at a bank, you know the financial vein of the world is right here on the East Coast, and I think that experience that you have in the banking sector would be very, very key in terms of developing your understanding of analytics and maybe doing really well. I've had a lot of students who come from who worked at banks, or they have some kind of a financial background, and they find themselves at a lot of ease in the program because they're able to relate to what they have learned in the past with what analytics really is here. So absolutely, that banking background will really help you if in case you want to continue with financial firms. We have a lot of them in Dallas as well, so it's a good thing. A lot of Indian students would be applying for the same. Is there any quota for the same? Do you need to maintain the number from certain background to be class diversified? Well, again, we don't really discriminate on who's applying, from where are they applying. The reality is, and this is for the entire United States. When you talk about international students, countries like India, China, they send the most number of students all over the world, and we do have a lot of them. But at the same time, as a university, we have students that come from more than 100 countries. As a school, we have students that come from more than 60 to 70 countries. And when we apply, when we give them scholarships and all, we look at the entire pool in one go. So we are not really keeping quotas for any countries. And again, to be very honest, in certain countries, the quota systems exist. It doesn't happen here. It all depends on whether you are able and eligible to get something, and you will get it. Getting $1,000, will I get it in-state? Yes. So the $1,000 scholarship is what you will get as a tuition discount, but that will come with an in-state. And remember, not every scholarship is eligible for that. But to give you in-state tuition, the scholarship amount must be at least 1,000. So there are certain scholarships that are designated that come with that in-state tuition benefit. It's not like that anybody who has a scholarship here for $1,000 will all get in-state benefit. There's a certain percentage that get. It's the best time to reach the university for spring 23. So if you're an international student, you can come to the United States 1 month before the start of classes. I would say that at least 2 weeks before the start of classes is a recommended time. Why? Because it gives you enough time to settle down, acclimatize. There are a lot of things that you want to do before the start of classes, just in terms of settling down. So 2 weeks at least. But if you want to, and since this is starting on Jan 17th, if you want to celebrate New Year here, we have a lot of spring students. What they do is they come close to the New Year's and they'll visit all these famous places in the US, like they want to go and see the ball drop in New York. Those kind of things. So depending on how you want to celebrate, or maybe you just want to celebrate it with your own family. Several years ago, I came to UT Dallas and I came as a spring student. And I just came here 2 days before the New Year just because I wanted to see the ball drop. So, but yes, 2 weeks should be a good amount of time for you to settle down. What percentage of students end up getting a TA-ship? Now, that all depends on the number of courses that we have. Remember, TA-ship is not an academic award. It's not like, oh, you got this GPA, you'll become a TA. For us, 3.4 onwards, everybody's same. Then we look at your individual performance in different classes, the courses that you have taken. Do you have the capacity of handling 150 to 200 students along with your own full-time coursework? Those kind of things. We look at the best candidates for the job. Again, not an academic award. Now, this semester we had the biggest enrollment, and because of that, we had the most number of sections. And of course, the number of TAs that we hired was, of course, a large number as compared to what we have done in the past. Like we would on an average hire about, and this is just in the program, at the school level, there are more, but just in the program, for example, we'd hire about 30 TAs. This semester we hired 50. And that's a substantial number. Every TA is responsible for about 150 to 200 students. So just think about the number of sections that you would have added to get to that. But a lot of students in the program also get hired as TAs in other departments from the program. So you could be a business analytics student, but you could be a TA in another department, because all of us who hire TAs, we hire it from the same pool. What is the tentative student intake for MSBA for spring 23? Don't know right now because it's still very early to say that. We are still giving out admits. We are still looking at applications, but in the past, we have seen an average of 150 to 200 students coming in spring. Are there any disadvantages? I'm glad that you asked this question, Msba. In the past, and when I say past, I'm talking about 15, 20 years. There used to be summer internships that would only happen during the summer semester, and people would not have any other time to do internships. That has all changed. The other thing is there's no guarantee that if you come in spring, you will, definitely get something and definitely not get something. Like people say that, okay, if you come in fall, there are more opportunities for jobs. Well, of course, there are more jobs and there are more people also looking for those jobs, because any university has a bigger class when it comes to fall and a smaller class when it comes to spring. So to be very honest, it doesn't matter when you come. Once you're here, as I said, it's a self-paced program. And because we are a self-paced program, you can pace out when you want to graduate. Now, another thing that people do is, oh, let's delay our graduation and we'll have better opportunities. Nobody can put a finger on the fact that, okay, if you delay your graduation and you spend more time in your degree, you'll have better job opportunities. There's nothing of that sort. Companies hire all the time. They hire 12 months a year. There are no slowdowns, and I'm seeing people hire even more now during days when they used to be a little slow. For example, after Thanksgiving in the US, a lot of companies get slow in terms of hiring, but I'm seeing people getting offers. They're starting in that holiday period. So there is definitely that need. What really matters for you to get a job and definitely raise your employability is whether you have the skills when you're getting out of the program. Have you spent enough time in building those skills? And remember, these skills are not built overnight. It's not like, oh, today I sat in my class and now I know everything. Or the semester is over, now I know everything. Sometimes it takes you a couple semesters before you start becoming very confident. But that time has to be invested by you. We will bring in a lot of people from the industry. We'll send you for competitions, conferences. We will give you all those opportunities, but it's really you who has to take it to build that profile, to build that confidence. At the end of the day, it's all about that confidence. So if you have that, I would say this doesn't matter when you come, you will get that job that you're looking for, or that internship that you're looking for, or whatever it is that you want to do. Arya, I didn't say that it's 2 semesters. I said you get it from the second semester, the TA-ship, because we need you to spend at least 1 semester. Now, let's say you come in spring, and the next semester that we look for TAs is summer. You can apply for summer TA-ships. Summer, we generally don't hire a lot, maybe 1 or 2 TAs, because there are not many classes, and we have our PhD students that work as TAs, so we are able to fulfill all those open roles. But technically, spring students end up becoming TAs mostly in the fall semester. But let's say if you came in fall, the next long semester is spring, and you can apply for spring TA-ships. Divya, I've received an admit. I still have a semester exam, so can I apply for scholarship right now or wait for my scores and then apply? Divya, at least send in an application. Let's say that your GRE or GMAT is delayed, not a problem. If your end semester scores are delayed, not a problem. As and when you will send those scores in, it'll be updated on our end, and then the committee will look at your profile. But at least make sure that your GRE and GMAT or GMAT scores are sent to us before October 1st. They should reach us before October 1st.
Sir, I've already mailed them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nilesh, by what you said, so we're in the last 6 minutes. I'll try to cover this as soon as possible, respectful of your time also. Yes, so in the Flex program, there are more electives that you can choose. Definitely, that's the key difference. Have a GPA of 3.58, GRE 321. Is it from the best? Divya, this is a strong profile. I would strongly recommend that you go and apply. And you said that you've applied, so all the best. What is the batch size? Now that depends on how students, what semester we are talking about. Generally, fall, we used to see about 350 in fall, but the last 2 falls have been really big for us. And a lot of them are people who deferred their admits from a previous semester. Fall 21, for example, we saw about 430 new students. And this fall, we had 700 new in fall. But spring is generally between 150 to 200. And again, anybody who comes in a certain semester, they don't have to take the same courses or graduate at the same time. You just come into the program together, but you can graduate, you can take courses as per your choice. Yes, Rohit, when you talk about diversity within the School of Management, again, in our graduate programs, most of our students that come, they come from places like India, China, because those are the folks who are really going for master's degrees, to be very honest. We do see our domestics, about 30% of our student population at the graduate level is our domestic students. But then we have a lot of programs out there. So if you talk about the diversity of the school, there are tons of domestic students. In fact, 90+% of our undergraduate programs are domestic students. And you get to work with them in student organizations. Sometimes they're fast track students who are taking classes with you. They're an undergrad student taking graduate classes. So you see those kind of diversities as well. At a university level, of course, there are, as I said, people from more than 100 countries. And there are a lot of diverse set of student groups where people can work together on projects, or they can work on competitions. I mean, for example, I'm the faculty advisor of something called the Dallas Formula Racing, and they've built their own racing car there. There are students from mechanical engineering, there are students from the Jindal School of Management, there are students from computer science, and they're all from different backgrounds and ethnicities. So that kind of experience is out there. But if you look at overall, the kind of gentry that you see in graduate programs in the US, overall, you will see a lot of international students at the graduate level, definitely. Can we get on-campus jobs? Oh yeah, you can start applying in the very first semester. Once you enroll into your classes, what happens is there is a portal that we use on campus called Handshake. You'll get access to that and you can start applying. You can only work on an on-campus job once you reach the United States, but yes, you can work on those jobs. If we get, so Bhanu, the scholarship committee will mention what it is. It's generally the 2 semesters, right, from the time you come into the program. So far it has been spring and summer for spring students. And they will specify it on your letter what exactly those semesters are. So in case there is any change going forward, you will see it on your letter. But yes, you get 2 semesters. That's a fact. Can a student get admitted to MSBA during the program and find interest in pursuing? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, you can do that. You will have to work with our PhD department. So the way they do things is, let's say you are doing an MS degree and you're thinking of a PhD, they will probably work out a plan with you as to how you get, when you get into the PhD program, what are the courses that you must take and what are the courses that can be counted from your MS degree towards the PhD program as well. So yeah, that can definitely be done. We have students who do that actually. They graduate from the MSBA program and it's not just within the department. Now our department, our information systems PhD, it's really ranked high. I mean, in terms of research productivity, we are #1 in the world. In terms of information systems, our research productivity is the highest. And yes, the kind of PhD students we get there are really high quality students. But at the same time, we have some other departments also within the school that have very highly ranked PhD programs. There are other schools within the university, like the Eric Johnson Computer Science School, or there is the School of Mathematics, and then there's the School of Economic Policy and Political Sciences, and they all have programs that are very relevant to an MSBA student. What I would recommend is once you come here, or you can still go and look at their websites to find out what kind of PhD programs are there to make a decision, and just talk to those departments, those department chairs, and they will help you in understanding how you can manage the credits that you're taking in the MSBA program and kind of count it towards your PhD. Meghna, application fee waiver is not available. It's only available to current students and alums. Do I need to apply for scholarship separately? Yes, all flex students do that. The range for scholarships, again, if you're looking at the GRE range, there is, I would not put a finger on the range there. Well, what I've seen in the past is 318, 319 is where people are starting, but these are, every semester is different. There is a semester where a 312 also got it, and there is a semester where a 320 also couldn't get it, just because the pool was very competitive. So if you have a good score, as I said, our scholarship averages are more than our average admits, which is 310 to 312. If you have more than 312, good chance. If you have less than that, there's still time to rewrite your GRE or GMAT, whatever you want to say. Can we get a scholarship without? Not really. That's one of the things that are required. Great, we reached the end of all the questions. Oh, the range in terms of the amount. Okay, good. Thank you for clarifying that. The range of amount is, so let's put it this way. Let's say that you're going for 9 credits, and I'm just choosing an average example. And the webinar link that you see in the chat, please do watch it because it covers everything very intensively. So let's say 2 semesters, you enroll in 3 credits, 3 courses each. You're saving about $8,000 to $9,000 there on tuition, times 2 plus $1,000. So depending on the courses that you take, $17,000 to $20,000 for 2 semesters is what you're saving on tuition. Minimum GPA, again, we don't put a finger on the GPA again. What we look at is GRE GMAT scores, and as far as GPAs are required, if you have an admit, it's an acceptable GPA then. Okay, well, with that, we come to the end of this session, folks. Glad that you all could join us, and the recording of this would be available on our YouTube channel, but our emails were listed before. Please feel free to send an email. Don't worry about what kind of question it is. We get a lot of questions and we love answering them because this is an important decision for you. And it is a life-changing decision for you. So we want you to be at a place where you have all your questions answered. Very much thankful that you joined us this evening here, and we'll be in touch soon. We do this every 2 weeks, so if you have more questions, email is one way. Oh, here is another good resource. So we have a Telegram group that and I'm just going to give it to you in a second.
So I have one question regarding the scholarships. Let me just know when can I talk to you about it, if that's fine.
You want to talk right now?
Yeah, I mean, that works for me.
Go ahead.
So I mean, after going through all the answers, listening to all the answers, you had given with respect to scholarships. What I kind of understand is, GRE and GRE GMAT are a filter condition for the scholarship. So when you say you look at application holistically with respect to scholarship, and when GRE GMAT is a filter condition, how does like what is the approach behind the entire scholarship thing?
See, think about it this, we need some starting point. And
Yeah.
that GRE is that starting point for us. Now,
Okay,
what
so
happens to people? What happens to people who don't fall in that, but they have a good profile? We look at them as well. So we sweep through every possible application. And back to your point, if somebody, let's say, the only thing that is not great on their profile is a GRE score or a GMAT score. Should they not get a scholarship if every other thing is stellar? Absolutely, they can. But what we do is we start off with the GREs. We put a filter. We look at those people first, that pool first, and then the remainder of the students, because we have a way of evaluating your admits. We look at that and we're like, okay, what about the ones who could not make it? Are there any potential students who can get a scholarship? What we have seen is in a significant number of cases, if the GRE score is lower, then we look at what the GPA was. If the GPA is also lower, that's an indicator that the person is not academically very strong. Any other thing, for example, when somebody says, I have X years of experience versus Y years of experience, those experiences are apples or oranges. We can't really compare experiences very well. That's where we look at your resumes. So I'm just telling you the process. We start looking at the resumes and we see, okay, what has this person really done? Let's say you spent 7 years in the industry, but what were you doing there? As opposed to somebody who might have spent just 3 years and may have done more things which are relevant and acceptable to us. Again, so we go to that level. Even with your GPS, we just don't stop at, okay, somebody has a low GPA, let's just reject them. We look at, okay, how did this low GPA happen? Was there a particular semester in which the student got low grades? And then after that, even though the student was rising in terms of their grades, it just wasn't enough for them to pull themselves out of the weeds completely. We look at that. If a student had consistently lower grades, and we're looking at every semester, that tells us that the student is not academically strong. And when we put them into a quantitative program like ours, they will struggle.
Makes sense, sir. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, so I have a doubt. My transcripts and mark sheets might be delayed. It might be out in November or so. So can I still apply for scholarship and still be, sure about getting it?
You can apply for scholarships and you can just send an email to jsomgradvising@utdallas.edu, just letting them know that, by when you will get your the mark sheets and the transcripts.
Okay, sir. Okay.
I see a question for non-technical background, which is better, supply chain. Again, Parag, that's not a great way of looking at it because supply chain itself can become very technical. When you say non-technical background, what I would recommend is, what do you want to do after a degree? Are you just doing a degree for the sake of a degree? Then there are too many degrees out there that you can just do. You have to see how you're going to use this degree in a future career. People do degrees because they want to build a career. They don't want to do a degree just for the sake of doing degrees. So my recommendation to you would be, think about it this way. Am I going to pursue a career in analytics or any data focused field? If the answer is yes, go for business analytics. If you think, when you said supply chain, if you're looking forward to a career in supply chain, then the supply chain management degree is there for you. So think about what your future looks like. And when I look at business analytics, I find relevance as well as, when I draw a horizontal, it touches more fields and more domains. So that's the benefit of business analytics. But if you're like, no, I don't want to do a data focused degree, well, then maybe you can explore other programs as well. But think about what you want to do in the future. Now, I just sent a link in the chat for the Telegram channel that we have. So we run a Telegram group, and these are all, now a lot of them were prospective, they've now become current students, but there are lots of students out there. You ask questions and, I answer a lot of them out there. We have a few members of our leadership council that answer it there. You can do that. Eligibility criteria for GRE waiver, it is a case-to-case basis. We look at your undergraduate transcripts, your quantitative courses to make that decision. All right. With that, I think we will end this session right here. The recording will be available on our YouTube channel, but thank you again for your questions, and whatever you're doing this weekend, do it well, have fun, and we'll talk to you again very soon. Thank you.